If you're thinking of buying a new car, you're certainly not alone. Sales have surged 13% on last year, which in turn was up on the disastrous numbers recorded in 2009. But, and there's always a but, the scrappage scheme ends at the end of June. So what happens then? Gay Lawton from Lawton and Foley Motors in Edenderry is with us. Gay, you're welcome to the programme.
Thanks, Will. Good morning.
Would you be fearful the market will just die once the scheme ends?
Not well. Traditionally, from July on, the market would get quieter anyway. But the scrappage has been a great boost to help. But at the same time, it's 15% of the sales for last year have only been applied to scrappage. So it'll certainly drop a bit, but it won't be the huge drop. Scrappage was good. It was great. It created revenue for the government. It helped sales, helped showroom traffic. But as I said, only 15% of it qualified with the scrappage sales.
Right. So therefore, the bulk of the increase is attributed to something else, be it consumer confidence or more spending power or whatever it is, rather than scrappage.
2 years ago, it went down to its lowest ever, so it could only go one way, really. But certainly, there's better deals out there for people nowadays. Cars in general have come down in price. Specs have improved. That, with the confidence growing, that's what has helped it. There is good value, and all across the range in all makes, there's good value now in cars.
But are there going to be any initiatives from manufacturers? I mean, even if you look to Mitsubishi and Kia, the brands you'd be most familiar with, are there going to be any measures to keep the momentum going?
Yeah, they are looking at, of course, they won't announce that generally. We'll be the last to hear that. Otherwise, people will hold back. I mean, they'll be on for all the manufacturers or distributors will be looking for a big push towards the end of June. So they're not going to really show their cards yet until, the last day in June. Then we'll probably hear about something that's coming down the line in July.
But you would be confident that some initiative will be launched in July or August to keep sales going?
Nothing compared to scrappage is definitely gone at the end of June. Definitely.
Has there been any last minute rush because of the deadline in June?
As this week now, traditionally after bank holiday weekend or the 2 weeks after bank holiday, it will be quiet in most, particularly in garages. But we have seen it now, particularly in the last 2 weeks. Even this morning we've had 2 people inquiring about the scrappage. These will be the last minute people that were 55, they weren't sure whether we're going to go or not, but now it's supposed to hear all the advertising and everything, they feel they've missed out on something. And it is a last chance for them to avail of the deals that are out there. You see, most manufacturers are matching the government scrappage with their own discount. So there is good value to be got.
Well, the government scrappage is what, €1,250 tax rebate?
The government. Then most manufacturers, I know from ourselves here, some cars are up to 4,500 off retail price.
Yeah, that's a big incentive, all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're bringing in a newer car, do you get anything off? From the manufacturers now as opposed to the state?
Not really, not in the scrappage, but that'd be up to us to try and give a good trade-in value for it, The main objective here is to get the older cars off the road. Now it might turn onto the other cars, the lesser or the newer cars maybe from July on, but presently it's the main focus is on the old cars. And even if the scrappage definitely won't come, I don't think it definitely won't be there next year because it is slowing down. There was 17,000 cars last year in scrappage for the year. They expect this year now to finish in June. 17,000 last year. They expect 10,000 this year.
Okay, for the half year, which is up,
down.
Though.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have. That'd be about maybe another 2,000 on top of that if it was continued. So it is. A lot of the older cars have gone now at this stage, and a lot of, if it were continuing next year, you'd be into 0-2 cars. A lot of them would be people who consider them not bad enough to scrap.
Where are people getting the finance?
A lot of them are financing themselves. Finance is beginning to free up a bit now. And we find majority of people that are going for scrappage deals, it's not impulsive buying, they've thought about it a long time. They tend to have money, put a lot of thought into it, so it's not deciding overnight to buy a car. So a lot of them would have their own finance.
Okay, so therefore, rather than access to cash, we can conclude that consumer confidence was one of the big barriers you faced in recent years.
Oh, definitely. Like I often give the example of the 9 o'clock news in RTE, where it'll open with 200 jobs lost in Cork, and then further down the bulletin they'll tell us 300 jobs created in Galway or somewhere. It's always the bad news that was out first. And every night or every day you were hearing this in the news. People that had the money, they had no confidence to go out and spend it. It's confidence was the main problem we find. Because there's a lot, I know there's a lot of unemployment, but there's a lot of people working still. There's a lot of money out there.
Well, the majority of people in the workforce are employed still, the vast majority. Can we talk a little bit about the type of cars being bought? Because last week we had a conversation with Will Faulkner from the AA about the death of the petrol car, or not, as the case may be. I take it diesel is the overwhelming preference for many new buyers. Yeah,
diesel. And road tax is a big issue, which I would say people park the road tax. Pick out your car first. Fair enough, if the road tax is under 300 or 400 euros, pick out your car. People are coming in here, not as much now, but at the start of the Scrappage, we want a car with the cheapest road tax. Diesel would be the second thing. A road tax would be the first incentive, I suppose, for people. Diesel would certainly be the second.
And in your view, though, will this road tax structure, where you can get tax for a year for as little as €105 or whatever it is for a really clean car, is that going to last, or will the government change it?
I can't. I mean, I think they can't touch it until 2013. It's to be revisited in 2013. Now, it'll never go back to what it was. But I mean, you buy a 40 grand car and it's €104 road tax. They're not going to leave it. I can't see it.
Yeah, but you had a situation a couple of years ago where the average family car would have set you back 300 to 400 a year to tax if it was 1.3, 1.4. And now the state needs cash more than ever, and people are paying a fraction of that amount. So is that sustainable?
I can see it, definitely. It won't go back. Maybe the car that was €104, if it won't go back up to 300 or 400 euros, it might go up maybe by 100. There will be some increase in it. I think they will anyway. So that's why, as I said, any car tax under 300 or 400 euros, we none of us like paying tax, but you're going to be always around that. So it's not going to stay at 100. I personally don't think it's going to stay at €104. Not for the bigger cars or the dearer cars.
Is the petrol car gone altogether then, Gail?
Sorry, just to finish, the last meeting we had with SMI, they foresee that there could be a usage charge on road tax.
A usage charge? What does that mean?
The more miles you do, the more tax you pay.
Yeah, but how could that ever be monitored?
I don't know, but that's one of the things they're looking at.
Lovely. Well, I suppose in a way it's fair. If you make more use of the road, then you should pay more.
Yeah.
But anyway, the petrol car then, is it a goner?
It's not. What are you doing? You petrol car went out here this morning, there's still the people will always buy petrol, I think. I mean, I was only listening to a radio yesterday, some report that these electric cars aren't made out to be what they are either, but there's more CO2 footprint from an electric than there will be from any petrol or diesel ever. Because the problem with the electrics, the lifespan of the battery, they reckon it's not what you could use 3 to 4 batteries in the lifetime of a car. And that's where the main CO2 emissions are. The main emissions are the factory that make these batteries. So electric's not all it's made out to be either. Petrol there's another good few years left in petrol yet. Definitely.
All right. Gay, as always.
Certainly is the biggest. I mean, second-hand cars at the moment, the biggest inquiry would be for diesel, without a doubt.
Yeah. Just one thing I neglected to mention, though, the VRT structure as well is quite favourable to diesels at the moment because they're so clean.
Yes.
Will VRT remain unchanged?
No, I reckon eventually VRT will disappear. Over how long, they don't know, but there will be. You can be guaranteed it will be replaced with something else.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they were losing too much. If they drop VRT, then again they'll have to do it. Also, when dropping VRT, you have to. The last time the government meddled with the VRT, it was mayhem for garages. Overnight stock, or second-hand stock, or any garage with second-hand stock. The VRT, if they drop VRT in the morning, all the second-hand stock is dropped.
Yeah, but also the last time it was changed midway through the year. And that really made it a mess because people said, well, it's July, will I buy it now or will I just hang on a few months and get a 09 as opposed to a 08? Exactly. So it's not quite like for like.
No, and a lot of the time, when it comes to, I suppose, with a motor trade, I'd be looking at mostly, the government would jump in and do things without thinking out rationally. And it's for, without putting a lot of thought into it.
All right, Gay, we have to leave it there. Thanks for being generous with your time again.
No, and remember, a few days left, Will.
All right, good man.
Needs to be got.
Always the salesperson. Gay Lawton, Lawton and Foley Motors. Thanks for taking our call today.